Yo, Magnus. Hey, Galaxy. It's so nice to have you guys waiting for me. That's awesome. How are you doing? Magnus, it's been a hellscape without you. Everybody's been beating me up. You're eating right now, Galaxy? Oh, sweet. What are you having? We have been ripping. Hey, everybody. We're just getting started. Hello, Cheddar. Cheddar Chips from New York. Hey, I'm chipping here. I've been good, working and drawing a tiny bit. Awesome. Noodles? Sweet. Is there butter in the noodles? Are you talking about Homer Simpson or are you talking about the philosopher? Um, we are going to be drawing whatever you guys want. Homer looking crazy. Somebody asked for a Super Saiyan Homer, and I had to oblige. You can't just say no to a Super Saiyan Homer Simpson. Um, but what do you guys want? I'm taking suggestions. Anyone that wants to learn how to draw anything can ask. And we can, you know what I need? I need a pencil extender. Somebody brought up that they're Elfo? Who is Elfo? Someone brought up pencil extenders, and I've been thinking about it ever since. So I might have to buy one. Or, guess what? I could just get a new pencil. Let's see. Oh, Elfo. I know Elfo. Sure, we can rip him. Draw food? You're a biggie? Is that is Biggie short for Big Back Galaxy? Can you draw a face? I could do a face. Let's do we'll do Elfo first and then we'll do a face. I can do a full tutorial on how to do a face. Top 3 Netflix shows. Yeah, Disenchanted is really good. The writers definitely cooked on that one. We'll draw him right here. Elfo, like every character, can start with a circle for his head. But guess what? He's got a crazy lip on him and basically no chin. So we're just going to add a big oval for that first. He's got big triangle ears. So we're just going to throw in a quick triangle here and a quick triangle on the other side to mirror. And what we're doing here is we're breaking this down into the simplest shapes possible. So even for cartoon characters, actually cartoon characters work the best to do this. Peak? Peak is in like the best. Galaxy. Um, basically, every time you're drawing anything on this page, whether it's a cat, a bird, a human face, or a cartoon character, if you start with the simple shapes first, you usually just have to layer in detail on top of those simple shapes. So it makes it all very, very easy, actually. Instead of just sort of like, a lot of times when I'm starting a drawing, I don't know where to begin. And this just helps me learn exactly where I want things to be. So we can just add a fake neck for him as well as we're working. You stop by to say hi, you'll be back real quick. You art nerd. I am. I'm an art nerd. On a scale of 1 to 10, how crazy would Alpha be on Hear Me Out? I'd, I'd give him like a solid 8, maybe pushing 9. What am I on about? I'm talking about art nerd stuff. Okay, so we have all these simple shapes. Oh, what's up, Nate boy? We're drawing Elfo from Disenchanted right now, and then we're gonna move over to faces, like always. But basically, you have a circle, I have 2 triangles, and I have an oval. And what we can do with this is slowly start etching in all of the details. So he has some ruffles for hair, so I'm going to make some curved triangles. Again, these are all just sort of intro shapes, nothing that I'm actually going to be using for the final drawing, but I want to get things right as I'm setting all of this up. He also has a big, big hat, so we're going to throw in a very simple triangle over here too. And as you can see, this whole drawing is all just simple shapes. But what we can do with these simple shapes is look at them as proportions. Hi and bye. See you later. Why a 9? Dino can fly, what's up? Welcome in. We're drawing disenchanted characters, and then we're going to go into a face tutorial. So, basically we have all these proportions, and they look pretty solid, right? We know that his nose is going to be about in the middle of his face, so I'm going to draw on another oval, and we know that he has pretty big eyes, so we can throw in 2 circles for where we think those are going to be. And basically, whenever you're drawing cartoon characters, it's important to note that cartoon characters inherently have to be easy to draw, because the animators and everyone doing all of the drawings have to be able to recreate them at any single point. Love the Simpson one? I'm glad. Dino, that's crazy. I've gotten so much hate for the Super Saiyan Homer Simpson. But they have to be easily replicated because they're drawing so many frames and they're doing so many specs and they're doing storyboards constantly. So if you remember that as you're drawing, you can sort of take a bunch of leaps and bounds in actually finishing this drawing, because you know if you start with these simple shapes, there's really not much to it past those simple shapes. So, especially if you're drawing with reference, like I am right now, I have all these simple shapes in, and I can just start going in and refining some of these simple shapes that I put in. So I'm going to start with these little hair tufts that I threw in, which are just like weirdly shaped triangles. Nothing special, nothing crazy. What's up, everybody? And from here, I can go down, and remember when we put in that eye, I can go down and I can add just a little nubbins for that eyebrow. And again, I'm just following that initial circle, but I'm adding in a little bit of flair as I go. Right, everybody? So, now that we're at the eye, from reference, I know that the eye is pretty circular. So I'm just going to lay in this side of the circle. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just focusing on an outline of this character first. And then from this eye, we're basically right into the nose. So I'm just going to follow that outline that I had just previously drawn. And we are just going to lay in a nose shape, sort of like a pig shape. And I'll go a little bit inside on this drawing just to get things moving for us, right? We can draw in 2 little dots for his nostrils. And then from his nose, we're basically into this oval shape, this big lip shape that we added. So we're just going to slowly slope down into about there. We don't need to use the full oval. It was just a container for us to understand proportions, right? So with that, I know that the lip has to be inside of this oval, so we can just close that lip off. And he's got a little bit of curvature. He has sort of a whimsical nature to him, right? And then his eye goes all the way, or his mouth goes all the way to the other side of his face, going past that other eye. So you see, we went from super simple shapes to now this thing is slowly being refined. It's like we're etching things out of marble. The annoying thing with cartoon simple shapes is that even if they're a tiny bit off, it all looks completely different. Yeah, that's very true. You got me into the mood to draw myself. That's awesome, Dino. That's the whole point of this. It's so frustrating, I know. I'm gonna sub and leave and bye-bye. Alright, cool. I'll see you around. W sub. That's sweet. But yes, it is extremely frustrating. But oh, also Magnus, I made a horrible realization the other day. Yesterday, actually. Oh, what's up, Poochie? I say in between like every solid thought to reset momentum, and I need to stop it. I hate it. It's like nails on chalkboard when I'm doing it. So I'm gonna try and fix that a lot. So if you hear it, call it out. Embarrass me in front of my peers. So, from these simple shapes, as long as you take your time with them, like Magnus just pointed out, it's super frustrating. LMAO, you do say so much. Damn it, so it's that noticeable? We'll get there. We will get there. It's good practice now to try and curt that, but it's so, like, it's not embarrassing, but just, I can't believe that I do it so much. So with these simple shapes, you can just slowly follow all of those little things that I've laid in the very beginning, all of the simple details, all the simple shapes, and you just basically turn your drawings into a paint by number. All you have to do is add and follow and make sure that those lines you're refining at every single step of the way, and also changing them just ever so slightly as your drawing needs them. The more setup you do to a drawing, the absolute better. It will always help you if you add just like another minute. Just do an extra minute of setup and your drawing will look so much better, I promise you. So we just turned that big triangle, that crazy random triangle, into a very solid ear. Hey everybody on TikTok, happy to have you. Can you draw Max from Grinch with Goku hair? Oh, Jane Black, I can do that. I say like way too much. Yeah, like is a hard one to get rid of as well. I don't feel left out about saying, yeah. Can you draw Max from the Grinch with Goku hair again? Janelle, I can do that, but we have to do a face after this cartoon character, and then we can rip. But you can see, I turned just a regular triangle, and I'll do the same over here. This was just one big, lightly drawn triangle, and by refining just slightly and adding a little bit of detail, we can slowly get that perfect ear that we imagined in the very beginning. All because we had that very simple shape first, and then we refined later. So then we can throw in the other side of his neck. And then basically the rest of the drawing is just his big floppy hat. So we can just go up from the ear, and we'll add just a little bit of flop factor, right? And then we'll close that off. And then his hat goes basically to this big tuft of hair. So we'll start over from here as well and draw that other line. And basically, that's the whole drawing. That's the guy. Like, look at how handsome and cute he is. And we just have to go through and add in the finer details and darken up some of these lines that we're very proud of. So, in doing so, we are slowly but surely getting to an awesome little cartoon drawing that, guess what? We did this in how many minutes? Just a few, and it's all because we spent those first initial seconds just thinking about all the simple shapes we had to draw first, and then we went into detail. So like this drawing really comes alive as we are putting those final touches in, and all it started as was, let's give him a little bit of his sideburn hair. All it started was, there it was again, is just a bunch of simple shapes. Just a bunch of random nothing burger shapes, and all of a sudden, guess what? We have a cartoon character. And we can add in a little bit of his collar, give it some dimension. We'll throw down that collar into his sleeve. Guess what, y'all? That's it. That's the man. Hey everybody on TikTok, we're taking suggestions for what to draw. We just talked about how to turn a bunch of simple shapes into a disenchanted character. We've done birds, we've done cats, we've done philosophers, and now we're going to okay, thank you Janelle. Hear me out. What do you got, Magnus? Now we're going to go on to faces. So, faces. Can you draw Goku? I can, but first we have to do a quick little tutorial on faces. And then I can definitely do a little bit of Goku. I also have to draw Max from the Grinch with Goku hair. Actually, you know what? Let's do Max from the Grinch now. And then maybe that'll satiate your Goku needs. Oh, okay, bet. That's great. And also, when you're doing these little studies where you're taking a complex structure or a complex character or a cartoon character even, and you're boiling them down into the simplest shapes, it's always pretty solid to have a reference image just on the side, just looking and making sure that, you know, when you are in these refined stages of actually adding in the details, it's much easier to get some of these extra lines and some of these curves and some of these proportions correct just by having that extra leeway, if that makes sense. Okay, we've got this nice picture of Max here. And we're going to draw him up. Hear me out. I said that because you finished drawing Alpha. Magnus, are you going freaky on me? Are you trying to bounce on Alpha? That's crazy. Okay, let's draw a little pray emoji after that sentence is diabolical. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're drawing Max from the Grinch, the dog. What we want to do is we want to start with, I'm going to erase some of these little lines that I was trying to teach other stuff with, and we'll draw Max right here. Same thing with Max. We're going to start with a big oval for the head. This is going to be like our main base. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, I feel that. Okay, so with this, we have the main structure for the head, right? Are we all following? Usually heads are circular. I hate to break it to all of you, heads are circles, even if you don't think they are. Then he has a snout. So like this character, we are going to draw a big oval to contain that snout that we are going to draw afterwards, right? And that's just going to come at about halfway down that head, because usually snouts and mouths and everything like that take up half the head. That's just the rule. I don't make the rules, okay? I just follow them and I draw them. He also has a little bit of a plump cheek, so I'm going to throw in a little extra circle there just to remind myself of that cheek. And then he has big floppy ears. So what we can do is we can just draw very elongated, can everybody say that word, elongated, circles for those ears. And then we'll throw in just a little polyp for the other side, right? And if you know anything about Max, his head is actually a little bit stretched out. So we can edit this circle by just throwing on a little extra bridge on top. And that's just going to tell us where we need to put certain things. What's up, Claire? We've got people in YouTube chat asking for characters to draw, and we are doing just that. On top of this, this Max has a big bone attached to his head. So this is going to be a little bit different. So basically this bone is one big wishbone. But we're going to break it into a series of ovals because, like I said earlier, and like I'll say for the rest of my life, the more you can break down stuff into simple shapes, the better your drawing will be. Okay? I'll say that till the day I fucking die. Have you had any Helen Keller rants lately? No, I've been pretty clean. I have been pretty chill on the old Helen Burger. Which is great. I think it's really good for her team. They reached out after I said all that stuff. They were not too happy. I tried really hard to reason with them and tell them, you know, everything I said was just, but they didn't see it that way. So I'm kind of on the chopping block with them, which is fine, you know. Better to be on the chopping block with a fake account than anyone real. Time to relapse. That's what I'm thinking. Ace shared the live. Thank you very much, Ace. So, if you look, this whole drawing, I have one big circle for the head. I have a long oval for the snout. I have two little circles for the eyes. I have a series of circles for the wishbone on top of his head. I have a little cheek circle. And then I have just a little indication where the neck is, right? This is all super simple shapes. I'm not doing anything special. I'm not doing any crazy drawing techniques. Do you do character drawing tutorials? Yeah, baby, I'm doing one right now. So, with this, we can add an extra circle right on top of the snout, and that's going to be his little nose polyp, right? Oh, thanks for likes. Thanks for all the likes. He talks about it how it's like Helen Keller and how she is a liar. I do. I do have a knack for hating on Helen Keller, usually. Usually, I am on the up and up. Okay, so now that we have all these simple shapes, Guess what, everybody? Guess what, little babies? It's time to refine those shapes. So we're going to start with the top of the snout, and we are just going to follow that line that we drew first because I'm pretty comfortable with it. I think it's a pretty solid line. And what that's going to lead us into is the nose. And guess what? We're just going to outline that nose as well. And again, this is where having that reference image on the side really helps because you can see every time you draw a line or every time you really put in a permanent line on this sort of super simple shape, you can double check. You can gut yourself or gut check yourself. Boogie's Wonderland says beautiful. Thank you, Boogie's Wonderland. I really appreciate it. I think we scared Janelle off. Damn. That makes a lot of sense. You know, usually when I start talking about how much Helen Keller's fake, people usually start leaving the live, which is, you know, it's fine. I get it. Even her team was not very happy. So, now that we're doing this, we're just going to slowly keep on following all of these simple shapes that I set up. We're not going to deviate too much. We're just focusing on getting this simple shape into a final shape. And it's going to help us immensely because if you look at all of this, I'll add in a little, actually I'm going to erase this line. I'm going to change the direction of his cheek just a little bit so he looks more accurate, more lore accurate. If you think about it, if you remember that oval that I drew for his snout, I basically just outlined it. I didn't do anything crazy special. I added that nose in. I added a little bit of a front lip on there just for spice level. You kind of look like Steve from Stranger Things. That's kind of nice. That's kind of a nice thing to say, Janelle. Thank you very much. A bunch of salty Helen Keller supporters. I know. They're everywhere, man. But I basically just outlined that oval. Like you see that simple shape turned into a solid cartoon character piece, right? We can do the same thing with this eye. So we'll just outline that little oval we did, and maybe we add a little bit of spice factor by, you know, sharpening up or closing off that bottom. And then we can do the same thing on this side. We're just barely adding any sort of spice. Then for his irises, for his pupils, they're just these little sort of crescent moon shapes. So we'll just lay those in. And I only know that they're this shape because I'm using that reference image on the side, just so I know how to make this canon, how to make this accurate. Have you ever seen the people that reenact Helen Keller reading a horror book? Yeah, I've seen people pretend to do fake stuff before. Basically, oh, there's the again. Damn it! I think I was on a roll though without doing an I think I was kind of cooking. How does one learn to draw animals? Well, Lenny, basically, here's a good example of how to draw an animal. If you just do this, usually it'll work. No, I'm kidding. Basically, the way that I learned how to draw animals, let's see if I have a better example somewhere. Oh God. Pause. Just pause on that second. Where is it? I'm just showing, here, I'll just show a bunch of these off. This deer is really cute. I have a great drawing of a donkey that has a full tutorial attached. And you're gonna go buck wild for this. You're gonna chomp at the bit once I find this damn drawing. Oh, here's a good one. Okay, so, like I've been talking about with the cartoon character stuff, if we look at this heron, arguably we could say that this is an animal, correct? I think we could make the leap that this is an animal. And the way that I learned how to draw animals is I would have a reference image on my computer screen or out of a book or whatever, right next to my drawing, right next to my paper. What's that, Danny? This, I gotta tell you, is an animal. It's a blue heron. And what you do with that reference image is you break it down into just huge globs, just big shapes, big super simple shapes that you can just, like anyone can draw a circle, a triangle, a bunch of interconnected circles and ovals and one big oval, right? All you have to do is get into that mode and get into that mindset of seeing an object or seeing an animal as its simple shapes. So this body, if we simplified it completely down, it's one big oval. Bing, bang, boom. This neck, a little bit of a harder shape, but if I just break it down into a bunch of different circles, holy smoke show, Batman, guess what? That neck curvature is there. The head, every single head, no matter what animal or thing or person, are you sure it's not a plant? Oh my god, it might be. Oh no. Anyways, every single head is a circle. I hate to tell you, but it is. Is that Marilyn Monroe behind the sketchbook? No, this is actually an adult man. But close. It could have been Marilyn Monroe. Um, and now, oh, there's the again. God damn it. We're close. We need a counter. I need to have to count every single time I say But the beak is basically a triangle. So you get into this mode of learning how to get all of these simple shapes down first. And then the rest of the drawing is taking your time with figuring out which outline you're most comfortable with, or which one looks like the most like this bird. And you just slowly work your way all the way through the drawing. And then that outline starts to appear and it starts to feel like a real drawing. Like that outline teaches you where things should be. And then that outline roots you in reality. It roots you in what things should look like. So, from that outline, once you get a really solid setup from these simple shapes, you understand, oh, the eye kind of has to be in the middle of the head. So you can lay in a super generic just spot for the eye, just to see, and then you can start adding in a little bit of more detail, and then you think either that eye is perfectly placed, and you can add in the detail on it, or it needs to move a bit. Well, guess what? We barely sketched it, so let's just move it over half an inch, and then bingo, you can just add those final details into it. And that's basically how I learned how to draw animals. I would just slowly do this simple shape routine. I would get a really solid outline, and then I would start putting details inside because I know everything has to fit inside of those outlines. That can't be like, once you get an outline, you have a container. You basically have a Tupperware, and everything has to be in that Tupperware box. I've got a watercolor, and I was procrastinating on a great blue heron. This helps, thanks. Dude, rip it. It's always better to just start with a ton of chicken scratch, ton of simple shapes, ton of random stuff like that, and then start adding in your detail. It'll always help you. Have you gone to art school? If so, do you have any tips for high schoolers? I have gone to art school. It was part of my college degree. Tips for high schoolers, I would say draw as much as you can. Just get comfortable with pencils, get comfortable with pens, try like charcoal out, just have fun drawing. And all of your intro classes with art is not going to be stressful. Like everyone starts at ground zero in college, right? Like everyone is the range of art ability. Some people in your class are going to be fantastic artists, some are going to be absolutely dog water. That's fine. I was like closer to the dog water area, and we got there because the teachers know it's an intro class, so they have to start from ground up. So just be comfortable with, a bunch of different mediums, and the second classes start going, take it really seriously, and you'll learn incredibly fast. Here's another example of how an animal can just be simple shapes. You've got a big circle for a snout, triangles for ears, rectangles for a neck, trapezoid for body, and then again, like I think that eye is going to be right there and right there. I think those ears are going to be there, so I'll throw in an outline, and then you just slowly but surely work in detail. Like details and finishing stuff should be the last 5% of your drawing. It should never be, thank you so much, I'm so happy, I'm glad. You should never start with the detail. Start with the structure first, like this donkey. This is exactly what this drawing looked like before I put detail in. And I knew that that eyebrow had to be a little bit of a push out. I knew the eye would be right underneath that eyebrow. I knew the snout is a little bit separate from the head. I know that there's a big cheek I've got to draw, so when I do that outline, I'm going to connect up to there. The ears are just big ovals, so like I can do that. Like if you take it by these steps, you're gonna be ripping through drawings like crazy. Okay, I hope that helped. Let's go back to Janelle. Are you still here? Are you still having fun? We're still doing your drawing. Here's the same thing with an elephant. You can see it gets a little bit more in depth. There's a little bit more like there are more simple shapes with an elephant, but guess what? It's still simple shapes. No matter how complex the drawing is, if you break it down into just simple shapes that you can understand, guess what, baby? You're gonna be drawing just fine. Okay. I keep getting distracted. I am just livid with this drawing stuff. Wilka, thank you. That's awesome. Another thing, this is for the art student, the tips for art students. Guess what? Sometimes I just draw a full page of noses. I just try to draw 20 noses and make them all a little bit different. And guess what? I learned something. I learned that the thing that makes a nose look like a nose is just the bottom. It is only the nostrils and that bottom hook and a little bit of that flare out nostril, right? So then when I move these realistic noses into cartoon noses, I'm only drawing the bottoms. And guess what? All of these noses look like noses, and I'm only doing the bottom thing. Have I ever tried a self-portrait? I have. Hello, Mrs. Ivan. Happy to have you. Mary's back in Minneapolis. I'm just here drawing. Here's not a self-portrait, but here's Timothy Chalamet. Magnus, I feel like you've seen my sketchbook 40 times at this point, because every stream ends up me going through all of these. Oh yeah, you were there for that whole live. We talked about Existential Crisis Coors Lights, which is a fantastic band name. We won't talk about that, baby. This is a live I did where it was I basically just told everyone you can draw anything if you can draw a box, and I turned a box into all of these items. That was really fun. We should do that a lot more. Yeah, your sketchbook is like a second home for me. That's so sweet. Okay, we're finally back to our drawing. So, basically, let's practice what I just preached for an hour. And that is, these simple shapes are going to turn into a nice little cartoon character. Nice artwork you doing there. Thank you, Bobby. At least Mary's not in the background banging pots and pans. I'm so surprised that you could hear that through the live. It's kind of upsetting almost. Like, what else can people hear through this microphone? But we have this big oval for the head, so I'm just going to go in and I'm going to start outlining. And guess what? I know that there's going to be an eyebrow somewhere in there, so I'm going to hook that outline in just a little bit. I'm just adding a little bit of spice, and then that is going to continue in to the top of the head, right? And then this character has a little bit of a bow, so I'm just going to get ahead of myself, and I'm going to draw that bow in now. But then we can finish that side of the head, and it's going to come all the way down. Again, we're just outlining. We're not doing anything special. And then remember when we drew in that super simple shape for the cheek, just a circle? Honestly, that's all that I've heard. I'm a Rasinger for it. I'm glad. But we drew that super simple circle for the cheek, and guess what? I'm just going to incorporate that into our outline. So that's going to come over here, and he's got a little bit of a ruffle, so I'm just going to add in a little bit of a jagged edge just to show that there's some fur there, and that is going to finish off into the neck. And guess what? That's that whole outline done. We just outlined this whole cartoon character head, and he looks good. He looks nice. And all it was a bunch of simple shapes that we now outlined. So, from here, I know that the other side of the neck starts at about that lip. So I'm just going to throw in a line right there. Guess what? That's bang on. Because I took the time to set up all of those little simple shapes. I'm going to finish off the little ribbon that that Max has on his head, and we can now move into the ears. And if you remember, we just drew these big ovals for the ears on the side of the head. Oh, thanks for the follow. Now that you're sitting here and you're thinking about all these tips and tricks, Rosie Finn, hello, how are you? I'm good. We're just teaching art today. We got a couple people in other chats and we're just hanging out having fun. If you have an idea for what to draw, drop it in chat. We can do it. How are you? Glad to hear that. Oh, great. So, this oval, guess what? We're outlining. It's always going to be a simple shape, outline, detail. That's the whole step. That's the whole process to drawing, right? So, I have this big oval, and I'm just going to slowly add in just a little bit of an outline. And maybe I'll add in a little bit of spice on this, and I will let it go into, or like curve in little special spots. That's all I'm doing. I'm not remaking the wheel here. I'm just adding in a little bit of spice to this shape instead of directly outlining it. And that's going to give our drawing depth, just those little tiny indications. I'll throw in another line to show that there's a ridge to this ear because this is all going to be shaded in. It's the inside of Max's ear. So I'm just going to add in a little bit of color there. And all of a sudden, hey, guess what? This ear kind of looks like a dog's ear, right? Then we can just do the same thing with this oval over here. I'm just going to throw in a little outline line, and then we're going to finish that off with that little outline line. We can add in a little ridge, we can add in a little bit of shading. And that's like, we are extremely close. How's your stream going so far? It's going great. We're 36 minutes in. We've done a cartoon character from Disenchanted. We talked about simple shapes and how to turn this into everything that you see now. And now we're doing the same thing for a different animal cartoon. Is that Homer Simpson gone Super Saiyan? Yes, exactly. Draw Murdoch from Gorillaz? Ooh, that's a good idea. I'll write that down. Sick. Okay. But yeah, this looks quite interesting. I followed you. I'm always looking for channels like this. Oh, that's awesome, Rosie. Thank you for the follow. I'm like slowly getting my feet under me with this whole streaming thing. And the Twitch follow count is my next challenge. What's your favorite game? Ooh, recently I've been putting a ton of hours into Elden Ring, so let's just say that for now. Okay. Also, you have the Epstein list. We don't need to talk about that, Easton. We don't need to bring that up. That might just be a me and you thing. Hit me in the DMs. I might send you the list. It'll be fine. Okay. So, further from this, if you remember, we set up this wishbone action as just a bunch of ovals. So, we can do what we've been doing, which is outlining this and making it a perfect shape, the shape that we want. Tracy liked that one, I'm glad. But because, uh-oh, camera malfunction. Because this bone has a little bit of extra detail, did you see the Game Awards? Yes, Magnus, I was actually working. I was helping write tweets for one of the video games that was launching in the Game Awards, if you think that's crazy. So, because it has a little extra sauce, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start with that outline, just super simple. Then we are going to go up, and with this, having that reference next to you is going to be super imperative with like when you're really adding in some special sauce on these outlines, right? And with this one, we're going to end up cutting into the cat, but it goes into two sections. So instead of just following that outline, I did a little audible and I added just a little nubbins to that bone. And then you can just refine that shape slowly but surely. And guess what? You have it. Now, oh, what's up, Banana Cat? We're drawing, we're teaching, we're doing everything right. We never make mistakes, and we do not like Helen Keller. By the way, where are you from, if you don't mind me asking? I'm from Minnesota, USA. That's the United States of America, by the way. Don't get it twisted. Okay. Now, Janelle asked for Goku hair on this character. So, like the Homer Simpson, we have to oblige. So we're just going to give a bunch of triangles on this character's hair behind its head, and hopefully it'll look a little bit like Goku, right? And again, it's going to cut into that. It keeps cutting into the cat, and I'm sorry, but we're just going to have to let some of them be behind the cat. So we'll throw in some crazy Super Saiyan bangs there. We'll throw up the opposite direction on one of them. We'll add in a little bit of extra flair here and there. And basically, now, the best part of drawing is you can take your darker pencil. Hastings, Nebraska. Dude, rise up. Helen Keller, death emoji. Mary told me you guys were, I was so jealous of the flute guy in person. Just make it Super Saiyan 2 where the hair falls down. Hey, I can't control what level Super Saiyan Max from the Grinch is. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. So, we get to go in with this darker pencil, and we can just finalize a lot of these lines and make them awesome. So we're going to do just that. Add in a little bit of Super Saiyan hair. We are going to go in to this snout, and we're just going to follow all of these lines. But what this darker pencil does is it makes everything look intentional. It makes it look like we planned every single little piece of this drawing, which technically we did, but sometimes as you're entering your drawing career, you'll learn a lot of accidents happen constantly. So it's smart to figure out ways that you can draw and pretend like you know what you're doing. And that sounds crazy, but that's like the best tip I could ever give you, is just pretend, bro, and you'll be fine. So we're just going to finalize a ton of these lines. We'll get his pupils looking right. And guess what? Now you can just add in some extra detail. So he's got a little bit of extra pizzazz on his snout. So we'll throw that in. He's got little freckles for where his whiskers start. He has little whiskers coming out of there. He has a little shading on this nose. We can finalize this ear up. Remember that ridge and that shading technique I talked about. We'll throw in a little bit of extra fur there. We'll get this side of the head. We'll get this ear going. And guess what, everybody? That's bang on. That's Max from... Oh, what's up, Queen of Nassau? What a pleasure to have you in my chat. Did you draw Homer Simpson yesterday? I did. Were you here? Why not? Bro, I'm over here working on a portfolio I was procrastinating and only have 2 days to finish. Oh no, Raphael. I've been there before. Guess what? It doesn't get any better. No, I'm kidding. Are you willing to draw OCs? I am, but recently I've been doing a ton of practice and a ton of fundamental stuff to try and get to the point where I can go back to OCs very confidently. I don't know if you're taking requests or not. I am taking requests usually, but we were kind of backlogged with a couple. We have gone through the gambit. And also, for some reason, everyone in chat always wants Goku hair on whatever character I draw. I didn't stay the whole time, I just saw it. Oh, sweet. Well, I'm happy to have you back. Thanks for liking the live, everybody. Let's go to a new page. Everybody, is that alright? Are we chilling? Let's sound off. Is everyone having a good time? New streamer. Hey guys, are you actually enjoying this, or is there something else I could be doing? Don't worry, I get it. I know drawing streams are boring. That's why I try so hard to make them interesting. And that's why I teach. Because guess what? If I didn't teach and I was just drawing silently, none of you would stick around. New page alert, that's what I'm saying. Okay, we are drawing Murdoch from the Gorillaz. Can you see my question about which game you wrote tweets about? I don't know if it got censored. That's sick. Was it tweets for a game released at the end? Oh, great. Yes, I do see that. I cannot answer that. Just know it was one of them for a big company, and I just helped draft some responses. So we are moving on to, I wish I could tell you Magnus, but there's feds watching. There are too many feds watching me right now. We are drawing Murdoch from the Gorillaz. Arguably, I would say arguably the coolest character in the band, the vampire bass player. Possibly the reason that I started playing bass was just because of this guy and I wanted to be cool like him. We don't know for sure if that's the reason, but we can just sort of assume that's the reason that I did everything that I do. Ooh, on some NDA timing. I'm good, lols. I got Ninjago playing in the background. That's great. The last game reveal, though, so that was horrendous. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Most of my TikTok is dead dad jokes and politics. This is a very peaceful break. Dude, we can get political. Alright, everybody. Alright, everybody in chat, who'd you vote for? Okay. Let's talk about it. We're going to draw Murdoch from Gorillaz. And if anyone is thinking about it, if they're thinking to themselves, oh, I wonder how he's going to start this drawing. Oh, I wonder how it's the same every single time. Simple shapes. Simple shapes, assholes. Okay, so this guy is just a dude. He is just a vampire that plays bass, right? And he's extremely simple. So we're going to have this circle for the head, super simple shape. We're going to throw a circle for the ear. We're going to throw another circle for the ear. And guess what? This is, Mary is one of my safe places at work. I'm glad. I'm so very glad. I voted for Brent Peterson. Anyone who didn't is lesser than me. That's that's fantastic, Magnus. Your 15 politics is not your top favorite topics. Hey, guess what? It will be soon. You're gonna get swept up, and it's never gonna be the same. All right, and now, all right. Anyway, basically, he's got a big fat chin, so I'm going to throw in a little oval just to make sure that we're kept honest. And then his hair is basically one big Lego piece of hair. So I'm slowly, if you can see this, I'm slowly just adding in all of the simple shapes I know how to draw, which are just circles, squares, triangles. What are some other, give me some other simple shapes. What are some other simple shapes? Come on. I don't know. I already lost them all. Okay. Super Saiyan Home in 28. Oh my gosh, it would be great. What's your opinion on pineapple? It's fantastic. Mir's taking notes. Dude, take some notes. It's coming up, and it's gonna be hot. Okay. Simple shapes. Gorillaz guy. Easy. He's just a dude. Pentagon. Never forget. That does not connect to anything. Oh, what's up, Lemur? So, Octagon. What are we talking about? Oh, Pentagon, Octagon. Yeah, baby. They bombed the Octagon. He's super simple. We don't need to belabor this. So, we know that his hair takes up most of the outline. So let's start throwing in just little triangles, little ideas for what this hair is going to look like. Nothing crazy. I'm still using super light pressure on my pencil. I'm just kind of giving a little bit of volume, a little bit of fun, just barely any sort of detail. So then when we get to that phase of outlining and making sure that this drawing looks correct, we have some information to go off of. Again, we're not doing anything to be like permanent. I'm not trying to finish this drawing in 2 strokes. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give future Nathan a little bit of advice on how to make this drawing better. So you can see I'm just slowly adding in triangles. Are we drawing 2D gorillas? Yeah, baby. You caught on quick. Damn it, there it was. Oh, I was so close to not saying again. Actually, the new lingo for the Pentagon is the Department of War. Yeah. Keep talking, Magnus. All of this stuff is just for future Nathan to be able to draw a little bit better, right? And that's how you have to think about this. Every time you're drawing, you are just giving yourself a little bit more information with every pencil stroke, and those strokes turn into the final drawing. It all just sort of works together. Everything is going to be fine as long as you stick to it, right? So, as you can see, I'm slowly changing this big circle for the ear. I added just a little bit of definition to it. That's all I'm doing. Over on this side, I can do the same thing. I can just add a little bit of definition, a little bit of outline to that. As someone who learned from Rodgon, in my opinion, it does not matter what you use at all. Exactly. Rod uses a ballpoint pen. Exactly. It never matters. Nothing will ever matter, like what medium you're using or what pencil you're using. Just spend the least amount of money and practice, and you'll be fine. The fun. Damn, there's another I gotta stop saying that. We are going to move over to the eyes, and guess what? Simple shape alert. Let's just draw two little ovals for eyes. Nothing crazy, just something light. Just two ovals. I think that's where the eyes are going to be, so that's where I'm going to draw them. And then he has a big honkin' nose, so I'm just going to draw a rectangle. Again, nothing crazy, just circles and rectangles. Then his mouth kind of juts off to the side, so I'm going to draw a little indication for that. And then we're going to put in just barely any sort of detail for that mouth, just so we can get an idea of if this drawing is coming out to the right proportion. And all of a sudden, we're seeing like the start of a face. We're seeing something that actually works. And all we did was start with, all right, I gotta go, might be back later though. Oh, well, thanks for hanging out, Queen. Okay. Basically, all of our simple shapes are done. Our big broad details are done, so we can just start going in and refining some of these lines. So this circle that was the eye, I'm going to turn into a half circle, and I'm just going to outline the bottom. Same thing on this side. I'm just going to throw in a little outline, a little bit of refinement on that bottom half of the eye, because I know his bangs cover most of his eyes, right? What are you feeling on Expedition 33 winning Best RPG over Kingdom Come Deliverance? Honestly, I think out of all the categories, 33 should have won RPG. And I'll stand on that. I'm fine giving it up to that for RPG. It was an RPG. It was a turn-based RPG. It was fantastically made. They deserve that award. Oh, I was so close. Dude, every time I say it's like a shot to the chest. Psych, I lied. I didn't have to go after all. Oh, awesome. This is my OC's channel. Oh, cool. Why do you have two different channels? What's the reasoning? So what we're going to go, really, it was the only KCD nominated for. They got like 7 others. I can't control that they swept all the other ones, but I was happy that they got RPG. I'll say that. And hey, that's fine. But so many people were so mad that it swept so hard, which is understandable. It's just the only part that kind of stinks. Actually, no, I don't even, like, if you make a fantastic game and you sweep a made-up awards show, like, if I was on the team that made Expedition 33, I would be so happy. I would be over the moon and I would laugh my ass to the bank. So, I'm kind of like, go them. You know what I mean? Crow! Fluffy milkmaids. What the hell are you talking about? What y'all doing? We're drawing, we're doing tutorials. Guess what? The same thing as always. Who the heck is Dusk? Dusk is new. They're cool. Oh, what's up, Kitsun? Welcome in. Crow, if you make this a hostile environment for new people that want to learn how to draw, I'm going to kick your ass. Okay. So, now that we have those eyes drawn, we can start refining the nose. And what this nose is going to be is basically just like an elephant paw. And this is where it helps to have a reference image next to you. Like, I wouldn't know that this guy's nose looks like just sort of a chicken nugget unless I was looking at a reference right now, right? Reference drawing and reference images always help with these fine details. You can do all of the simple shape stuff yourself. I love that they bought everyone with them. Yeah, definitely. I almost said it again, but I didn't. That's a big win for me. That reference drawing is always going to help. Some people are scared of reference images when they draw because they think that they're not actually learning. You definitely are. You're always learning as long as you're doing it the right way. Some people will only draw a reference and then they don't actually think about what they're drawing or why they're drawing it. They don't think about the simple shapes like I've been talking about. they just sort of rip through a reference. Sometimes they'll even trace that reference, and then they're not trying to go the extra step and draw themselves or draw just based on imagination or memory or anything like that, which is fine. That's a great way to do it. But if you're interested in, learning and being able to draw completely void of reference material, whenever you are using a reference, just think, why am I drawing this line the way I am? Or why did this artist draw this line this way? Just constantly checking yourself with little bits like that, and you start learning so fast, it's crazy. Especially if you say you're struggling with how to draw eyes, like consistently you just cannot get an eye right. Go and look at how other artists draw a bunch of eyes, and then copy a ton of those eyes from reference, and then all of a sudden, when you go back to your character that you're trying to draw, and you have all of this information on how other artists draw eyes, you have a wealth of knowledge to pick from, and then you can just choose how you want your character's eye to look, and it's way easier. And I think a ton of people try and shame beginner artists for that fact, but guess what, dude? Learning is learning. Let them learn. I post dragon puppets on my Queen of NASA channel. I post Ninjago edits on this channel. Oh, that's so cool. That's so sweet. And you just split them both because you don't want one to be like mucked up with the other stuff, or what's the reason behind that? Dang, Crow, you gonna take that? Crow's gotta take that. Okay, thanks, bye. No, Crow! Chicken nugget, I'm always hungry, dude. I am too. I love reference images. I can draw them exactly from reference. It's just easy for me. Yeah, definitely. You drew your profile picture? Oh, sweet. You trace pose references? Yeah, exactly. Any way that you can get a drawing to where you want it to be is fantastic. You just have to take that extra step to say, why am I doing this, and what is it good for, and all of those extra things. And you'll be off to the races, baby. Okay, we're just going to color this in. Like I said before, and like I said forever and always, it's all just simple shapes. Simple shapes and then refining. This guy started as a weird blob of circles and squares and triangles and all of that, and now he looks like a cool cartoon character bass player. And guess what? We did that. So, now all we have to do is rest on our damn loins and color this stuff in, and we can go to our favorite part, which is adding this dark pencil to all of the outlines and hard details. So we'll start with the eyes. He's got mismatched pupils, which is sick. He's got that chicken nugget nose, which is great. Good for him. He's got this mouth. He's got a little bit of eye baggage because he's always playing late night shows and hanging out. He has a little bit of a warped chin, which is fine. We love that. We can go across with this helmet style hair he's got, and then we can basically just finish this drawing like no one ever asked us to. Isn't that nice and cute and sweet? And then we can add a little bit of stubble. He's got a little bit of schmutz on him. How could I be drawing heads and bodies? Let's talk about it. Let's get going. Dusk at Dawn, a lot of my subs on my other channel were before your Ninjago obsession. Oh, sure, I understand that. Still reference Ninjago, but yeah. Oh, cool. I'm interested to see the dragon puppets. I might stop by and check that out. Okay, let's talk about heads and bodies. Here is an interesting page from a live I did recently. And what happened in this live is I showed that everything can be a square. Everything can be drawn if you know how to draw a cube. And the same thing goes with bodies. Basically, if you're drawing, in my addiction, I spent over 6,000 hours on Ninjago this year alone. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. What even is Ninjago? Crow, have I got a show for you. It's crazy. You can explain at dusk. I gotta talk about bodies. So what oh whoa, Nathan liked the live. Hello. Sweet name. basically everything can be boxes, right? Everything can be perspective, everything can be proportions. We can see on a ton of different little drawings that I've done. You can do all the guideline stuff and you can do everything like that. Basically, what you want to start doing with body stuff is you can draw, two people are peeking in, let them know to engage with your live. What the hell? Two people are peeking and they're not clicking in? Get in here! Okay, so basically this body is one big square, right? Then there's a little bit of space, which is like the belly area, and then another big square, and now you're on the hips, right? That's the whole body. What's fun about the body is every single body is 7 heads tall, right? So if you draw your head on top, you have that unit of measurement. And what you can do is you can draw 7 of those straight down, and you know that the torso and everything should be about 3 heads, and the legs from waist down to feet should be 4 heads, right? Skybound is my least favorite season of Ninjago by far. Whoa! Did you hear that? Dusk, this guy's talking about Ninjago. He says the worst season is Skybound. But now that you have this proportion, now that you have this distance of 7 heads, you can slowly start working in this body into those proportions. And I'd say, like we've been talking about all day, the simple shapes, like just draw big squares, big circles, get those proportions right first. Oh, what's up, cat? Get those proportions right first, and then you can slowly start getting all of the details in. But the head and body really work together because it gives you that measurement of 1 head, and then everything else is going to be 7 heads, right? Then, if you're drawing an adult, the shoulders stick out about like 3/4 of 1 head. So you can draw another 2 heads on the sides, and you know that the shoulders will cut in just before that edge of the head. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you is the only way you can draw heads and bodies correctly is really focusing on all the simple shapes that I've been talking about this live. And once you get that container, think of it as like a Tupperware box. Once you have the container and it's proportioned correctly, all you have to do is just fit in all of the little details inside of that Tupperware box. Crow, you guys are creeping me out with your Lego obsession. Crow, you never got into Legos? This is frying me. Wait, I gotta... The chat's going crazy. Isn't it a Lego series thing? Yeah. 18 season show. Its 19th season is coming out. I didn't know they were still creating it. Zane is autistic though. There's no changing his pin. Oh, what's up, Hawk? Have to have ya. Hawk Tua, exactly. Thank you very much for taking that joke. Here we go. That doesn't work, Magnus. Yes. Crow. I'ma leave now and never return. No, don't do that, Crow. Lego is life. Crow, you haven't seen anything yet. Yes. Okay, good. I'm all caught up. Okay, back to drawing. But remember, all of those tips and tricks, the cat is so cute. Thank you very much. He got covered up by Max. If you can think about everything as a Tupperware, if you can think about everything as a simple shape that contains detail, the head and body drawings become so much easier because all you're doing is loading in a bunch of draft lines, a bunch of blueprint lines, and then you just get to do all of your special details later. And with that, everyone, this live has been banging, but guess what? It's time to clock out. If you haven't already, a follow would be super appreciated. We did a whole ton of drawing. We were drawing for just over an hour. We did this character from Disenchanted. I talked about how circles and ovals and triangles turn into every single character. And then we doubled down and we did Max from The Grinch. And oh, you followed? That's so incredible. And live you like de? Hey. That's a very hard comment to come back from. Now I can't end. You followed, thank you very much. See ya. We'll be hanging around for just a little bit. You haven't watched Kima? Ooh. Peak Lego experience was the 4D Lego Chima. Is it Chima or Kima? I always get that confused because it's different between everything. You have to watch it ASAP. I might. But basically, if you can draw a circle, an oval, a triangle, and a square, you can draw anything in this world. You did all these in an hour? I only did these two and this character, and I touched up some other stuff for the hour. So, not as peak. You talented 100%. Well, thank you very much. But simple shapes, people. If there's anything I can teach you before I die, which is going to be in minutes, I'll just eviscerate completely. Everything can be simple shapes. Even this very high definition picture, this was one big circle for his cranium, right? His big ass head. And then I added just a rectangle for this chin. And I was like, okay, I know that I can fit some details into these simple shapes. And that's what I did. I slowly added detail, and we got that awesome drawing. What about side angles? Dude, side profiles, the same thing applies. You can do this thing that I've been working on called the box method. And what this is you basically just set up one big box. There's your Tupperware container. And then you mark off all of your little boundary lines. You just split everything into quarters or halves or whatever. And that gives you the blueprint to start adding in detail. It gives you the blueprint to start adding in the eye, figuring out where the nose is going to lie, figuring out where the lips is going to lie. And then as you get to that point, or as you get to the finishing that structure, you can start laying in some crazy amount of detail. Like if we go over here to this page, let's take a peek, let's take a look. Like this page, I did that method for these three heads, right? And once I got all of the proportions, I slightly tweaked everything. I was using that Tupperware method, I was using the box method, and I could just slowly get in some really solid details, get those eyelids going, get the nostrils going, focusing on lips, focusing on the angle of the head, all of that. It all works. I promise you it works. Also, Nathan Skybound is my least fave season. Dude, same with this Nathan on this stream. These past years I've been learning from practicing. It's understanding comes with time. Exactly. I like the double ear guy. This guy was a mistake. I tried doing, I started inking and then I realized that I messed up the proportions, so we had to move it. So steady and slow is key? Yeah, absolutely. I think the best thing I can teach, the best thing out of all of this, is if you start with simple shapes and you're just doing structure, 90% of your drawing should all be structure, and then the last 10% should be fine detail or fun detail or anything like that. If you can spend 15 minutes setting the drawing up before outlining or before doing any ink, and just spend a few minutes on those final touches, like I spent, what was it, 12 minutes doing all simple shapes and setup for this drawing, and then by the time I was outlining, it took me maybe 1 minute just to outline all of this and make it look pretty. It will get easier? Yeah. You get me, twin? Dude, mad respect on that. Alright. That's gotta be it. Magnus, Dusk, I love you both. You've been fantastic. Also, I've learned so much about Ninjago. But that's gonna be it. That was a nice hour. You were all good night, good night. You were all amazing. You all kept the energy going. It helped me a lot, and I appreciate it. I'll be live probably again tomorrow, similar time, and we'll teach more. We'll draw more. Guess what? The lessons are the same. They're always the same. Simple shapes and then details. It's always the same. Alright, TikTok. This is me. Isn't that nice? Isn't he kind of handsome? Isn't he? Isn't he kind of nice with it? I bet he can dance too. I bet he can actually dance really, really well.